The first few questions that I will ask are very general, and they're addressed to all of the candidates regardless of the office that you are running for. So to begin with, we'll start to my left with Lou, and the question simply is, would you tell everyone in the room who you are, which office you're running for, and why you chose to run?
Hello, I am Donna Reese, and I am a 23-year co-owner of General Exterminating in Millcreek, and I also own the Erie Small Business Alliance, which is a small business networking organization. I grew up in Northeast, but I chose to move to Millcreek when my oldest son became school age. I could have moved anywhere in the tri-state area, and I picked Millcreek because of the schools. I actually picked the home I'm in because of the elementary school. I decided to run when I got involved with the No New McDowell and started asking questions because, again, I'm fiscally responsible. I have to be in my business or I'm out of business. And when I started seeing the problems when we would ask questions about the money and there was no clear answer, I saw the need for new people to come onto the board who are going to take a different look at the way money is being spent and just accountability. My mother always told me, don't just complain. If you're going to complain, be the mouth behind it and put your time where your mouth is. So I'm very community involved. I help out a lot of nonprofits. I volunteer. I fundraise. I'm wearing an epilepsy because that's my current project, and very, very thankful for the community that I live in, and I want to make it better.
Okay, the second question, we're going to start with Donna and work our way the opposite end down the table. And the question is, depending on which office you're running for, what do you see as the most important issue or issues, say one or two, facing the township supervisor or facing the school board?
With the school board right now, I think the number one issue is that our books are so out of balance. I'm not sure that even today we know what money we have, where it's coming from, how it's being spent, and education has to be the first and foremost on the list of priorities. And for the past couple of years, that has not been the case.
Question is this: what went wrong with the process and decision for constructing a new McDowell High School? Now that the township faces a fiscal crisis of sorts, how should the McDowell project be addressed?
I have a son who goes to Mercyhurst University who said that there are some of his classrooms that McDowell appears to be a Taj Mahal as compared to what he is going to class in, and meanwhile we spend $30,000 a year on classes alone, and we consider Mercyhurst University to be a top-notch college. So again, I keep going back to the building isn't what teaches the kids. The people within the building do. And John and I did tour both the senior high and MIHS, and there is no doubt things need updated, no doubt. And it was very disturbing to find out the other day Dr. Mancini said that the debate of the update on the science labs has gone on for 12 years. So is it really about education? Is it really about all of a sudden this building, we've outgrown it? And interestingly enough, I have the public hearing records from the Walnut Creek when they were going to build Walnut Creek. This is April of 1992. And the question was brought up that, okay, we're bringing in all these new students, so are we going to be in this position now when they go to high school that we're going to have to expand our high school because there's not enough room? The same architecture group who put the plans together on the consolidation is quoted as saying there will be no need to rent or to do anything with the high school because of the structure and that it's built as a fortress, and it was also built on a foundation to build up. So if any extra room is needed, you can do it within the same building without having to knock anything down. And that's in their own public hearing, the architecture group that, you know, said that we need to bulldoze this and combine two schools. Again, one of the school board directors that we were touring with, we were walking through MIHS, and she made the statement that the philosophy on teaching is completely not conducive to the building itself. And I made the point to tell her, I said, and 30 years ago, or how many years ago it was built, it was the latest and greatest thing, and now 30 years later, we're saying it's not conducive to the philosophy of teaching. Teaching changes, the buildings, you can teach in any building. And, you know, we can't just keep going out and building new buildings to fit philosophies of education.
What is the appropriate balance between fiscal responsibility and including holding the line on taxes and providing government services, including education, to the citizens of Millcreek? So how would you, as if elected, how would you find the balance between fiscal responsibility and providing sufficient services for the citizens of Millcreek?
Nobody likes tax increases. I know I don't. But I also would rather have small incremental tax increases from both the town, or the county, the township, the school district. I'd rather have small ones rather than going 4 years with a political platform saying, I never raise taxes, I never raise taxes, and then getting socked with a huge one because we've created such a deficit. You know, again, I personally, in my business, it's my responsibility. When my cost of doing business goes up, I can't just keep passing it on to the customer. Otherwise, I am going to be out of business. I need to look at the way I am running things. I need to streamline. I need to look at all aspects. And I can't just keep saying, well, I always did it that way. Always doing that way when costs are going up and you can't raise prices, you need to recreate yourself. And I do it in business all the time. That's what has kept me competitive. I have not had a price increase to my customers in 5 years during a recession and during a time that mom and pop businesses are going out of business. So that's my job, and that's what I want to bring to the school board. Can I add one thing on the TV station, the Channel 8? Being that we're sitting here with a supervisor candidate, I'm involved with both the township and the school district, and I will tell you firsthand, they don't work together. The township tried to reach out, they tried to work collaboratively with the school district, and I saw the correspondence. I was kind of in the middle of it, just sitting back as a spectator because my opinion doesn't count yet. And this is a problem that needs to be addressed, is moving forward in the future. We are one township, whether it be a township building or a school district building. The two need to work together so that we as a whole township can benefit.
The adult education programs were cut, most of them but not all. We are especially disturbed because the small engine repair class was eliminated even though it had a 30-year track record with a well-respected teacher and a loyal following. When the Millcreek Township School District was asked to explain the reasons, the answers were unsatisfactory. Question then is, what will the new board do to investigate ways to bring back some of the adult ed classes, specifically the small engine repair class, and make them self-sustaining, that is, at no cost or no loss to the district?
I think we need to take a look at the number of electives that we have, such as guitar, ping pong, Star Wars. and evaluate those areas. Those things I don't think are necessary. Somebody said that if you're not having fun in school, you're not learning. Well, I don't remember having any of that when I was in school. I remember my core classes, 7 classes a day, and I turned out just fine. And I do agree that you can save money in renegotiating, just like John had mentioned with VOTEC. I think that we have fallen short when we are refinancing a multi-million-dollar bond and we go to one bank rather than putting it out to bid with 3 banks. How do we know that we got the best rate? Because we continually stick with the same suppliers without putting it out to bid. Competition is what drives prices down. And I think that in the future, anything that is a significant spending, over $100,000, should not be decided without a bid process.
If given the opportunity today, what is your priority list in spending the remaining $20 million of bond money? And there's a second part to it. Where did the $714,891 that was set aside for Gus Anderson turf replacement go? And if you need me to repeat one of the questions, just ask.
My concern with the list that was presented last week was, number one, they had Gus Anderson Field, the turf, as part of that. And a year and a half ago, it was absolutely stated that there was money set aside to resurface that field. They planned for it for 10 years. And I mean, I argued it at the July 30th voting meeting. Do you spend $10 million on a new stadium, or do you take the money that you already have allocated and put a new, resurface the field? So all of a sudden, it's part of that $20 million, and the red flag is, where is the money that we all thought was there? And nobody's able to answer that. Secondly, one of the board members made the statement that to resurface Gus Anderson Field would well exceed $1 million, and the head of maintenance said, no, it's actually $500,000. Where do we come up with these figures? Where did we come up with that it would be $60 million to renovate McDowell Senior High? Did we pull this out of a hat, or do we actually have credible people who came in and gave estimates? Because, my house just fell down. I had my cost at $400,000 when it actually ended up being a quarter of that. Do we do things based on reality or assumption? Because the statement made by a board member that it would well exceed $1 million to returf the field was completely inaccurate.
Do you believe that selling off Millcreek School District property and assets for a one-time windfall payment is a beneficial way to help with the district's finances?
Mixed emotion. I was totally against closing the schools. I think it was a knee-jerk reaction. I think had given the time, we may have figured things out. You go from wanting to build a mega school and a $10 million stadium to being broke and selling schools. Elementary kids, it's statistic, smaller class sizes are better. We keep talking about the enrollments going up. Just 1 week after they closed the schools, it came out that, we had more kids enrolled than we anticipated. Now we have overcrowding. I'd be against selling Ridgefield at this point, because I see the need for, you may have to reopen a school because you made a bad decision to close it in the first place on a knee-jerk reaction. There are properties out there, like a home that our assistant superintendent lived in for 3 years. Those kind of things, yes, sell them. Vacant properties, sell them. There's no reason to hold on to them. And it's a win-win, because once you sell them, then all of a sudden they become taxable properties also. So you're getting the revenue from that. So it's not a one-time windfall if they're going, unless Lecom's buying them. So you want, you want somebody get them back on the tax rolls, but I think we have to be selective in what we sell and when we sell it.
Can you devote the time required to make informed decisions on school district matters? And John, you can just change that to township.
There's an old saying that said, if you want something done and you want it done right, ask a busy person. I've been a busy person my whole life. I purchased 2 businesses kind of at the same time. So not only was I buying the businesses, which you make no money when you're buying a business, I would go to work as a waitress at nighttime and on weekends, and this is when I had small kids. Later, unfortunately, ended up in divorce, and I was a single mom, and I had 2 kids who played travel hockey. So anyone who has kids in sports knows that sports eat up a lot of your time, but my sports, our home ice was Youngstown, Ohio, and I would commute after my workday to Youngstown, and then our league was from Boston to Phoenix. My hockey's gone, so I am truly left with what I call too much time on my hands. So I know how to balance my days, I know how to balance my life, and I have the benefit of having great people who work with me that allow me the time to step away when I need to do the things like this that I need to do.
Okay, next audience question. How would you address the present problem of teachers' retirement wages and benefit packages? The benefit package. We started with Lou, so we'll start with Donna.
It's getting tough. Like John said, you know, something that's out of anyone's control is the retirement packages, and you know, unfortunately, we didn't plan for it. And this is not something that, you know, somebody said overnight, oh, by the way, it's 17% now, 22%, 30%. We all knew this was coming, and it's something that school districts across Pennsylvania have been planning for. Millcreek hasn't, and it's going to be a real dilemma when those costs keep going up and we're in financial distress. So, you know, like I say, it's gonna be a challenge, and it's gonna be a challenge because there was not a lot of planning done to prepare for it. The retirements, it's a given. We're responsible, and we just have to, in order to get good teachers and maintain good teachers, we need to pay them a wage that is going to attract them. And so this, again, is going to be creative budgeting. We need to cut the fat, and we need to take care of the people who work for our district so that we can continue to provide a great education. But boy, we sure need to get on the stick as far as planning on how we're paying out these pensions over the next 5 years.
The Millcreek School District has cut its foreign language program in middle schools such as J.S. Wilson. Do you support the restoration of funding for the program?
Reading, writing, and arithmetic. That's pretty much what's affordable right now. And that is exactly why we need new eyes, new energy, new ideas, looking at the future of the district. Again, I keep going back, it's mind-boggling to me to find out that there has been a debate for 12 years on updating the science labs. That is a basic need in our school, and why we are 12 years out and still debating it, there's a lot of work to do to bring anything back.
The next question to all members of the panel. John?
Oh, boy.
And why don't we let you start, John, and then we'll
Oh,
go back
thank
to
you.
Donna.
Yes.
If elected, how will you foster constructive working relationships with other township supervisors or members of the school board?
I think that's essential for all of us to survive when it comes to local government, whether it be the municipal government or the school board. There is a network that has to be maintained. Myself in my job and what I do as a building and zoning code administrator, I have made connections with people throughout Erie County, throughout the state. There are people I can call in Harrisburg at my current job as a zoning administrator. I've known people down there. If they don't have an answer for me, they can send me in the right direction. We do need to work with the school boards here. They got a problem with these buildings that they're going to be unloading soon. We do have to work with these people. And the fact is, it's for the betterment of all of us here in the township. It's not that we can have our own little island here, over here 3608, and then over there, whatever their address is, no, we've got to work together. There are areas where we can work together on things. I know that there are things that we do already, but I think that maybe that role needs to be expanded a little bit more. So, yeah, is that possible? Yeah, I think that's part of what doing business in government is all about. Having that network of working with others, councils of governments, associations, whatever it might be. So I think it's a vital part. If we don't do that, then we're not doing our job. That's what thank you.
Donna Reese.
Donna Reese. I have the Erie Small Business Alliance. I teach people how to reach out to people, how to network, and that's what I've been doing. And, like John said, if I have a question and I don't know the person to answer it, I'm going to find the person to call to answer it, and I'm going to make that call. And it's funny because somebody said recently on my Facebook, they said, I need this, and I know that you're the person to ask because you know everybody. Well, I didn't get to know everybody by being, a quiet, sit behind a desk and wait for things to happen. I go out and I make things happen, and I can work with anyone. There's a school board member and I who we have not seen eye to eye for 2 years. We got on the phone for an hour and a half, and he said, I've said nasty things about you, and I said, and I have about you. That's no secret. But at the end of the day, if we can agree to disagree like adults, we are all going to be better for it.
What or who inspires your political imagination? In other words, what leaders, books, movies, ideas form your conception of what politics is at its best?
I am my mother's daughter. I'm the youngest of 9 kids, raised by the most incredibly strong woman that you would ever meet in your lifetime. We were raised that we all were given the opportunity to voice our feelings. Ultimately, she always won, but we were always given that opportunity. It was never, it's my way, and that's, if I had a disagreement with her decision-making, we discussed it. So over the years, she taught me to challenge things, for sure. She challenged our school board, she challenged state government, and she did it with 9 kids, raising 9 kids, living on a farm as a stay-at-home mom. She was very, very involved, and that's where I kind of spun off of that. But ironically, I didn't register to vote until I was 23 years old. And I registered to vote because all of a sudden I am now buying a business, and I saw how government was affecting the way business and small business is able to be run. And I registered to vote so that I could vote for Tom Ridge. And Tom Ridge inspired me beyond belief. Here was a guy, just a pillar of our community, with 2 small kids in tow, and I thought he was the epitome of what we all need as far as good decision-making, fiscal responsibility. Everything he did, it seemed he did it with so much thought and never looked back. And, it's funny because several years later, now I am friends with his daughter, and she is a chip off the old block. And I would love to see her follow in her father's footsteps, because that is a family who definitely inspired me.
And I hope everyone will turn out on election day.
Yes,
Thank you very much.
vote.